it's crazy how life compounds the more that you do. And I think the more that you seek opportunities and not necessarily money, the more accolades and accomplishments that you can have.
My name is Andrew Smitte. Welcome to the Successful Smitte podcast. I got a really exciting guest. His name is Ruben Alvarez. He's the founder of the Marketing Hunters, which is a company that specializes in branding and marketing or market positioning. And it is also the top marketing company in Arizona. He's also the author of international book Brand Sharks, Unstoppable Strategies from Industry Leaders, which is a book endorsed by Tim Storey. And Brand Sharks has also been called the #1 book for young entrepreneurs looking to grow their brands. And along with recently checking off a huge goal of being a TEDx speaker, off his bucket list, Ruben's story has been featured in Markets Insider, New York Weekly, and several other news outlets for his disruptive branding methods. And his main message is sales will bring you money, but the brand will bring you a legacy. So Ruben, thanks for hopping on. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and anything that I probably missed.
Yeah, man. No, it's life has been moving pretty fast lately. So, a lot of that stuff has been pretty recent. This year, actually, I think, well, maybe the book came out early or late last year, but yeah, man, life moves fast. And we moved to El Paso February of this year. So no longer in Arizona. So now we're top in two places, right?
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, it's crazy how life compounds the more that you do. And I think the more that you seek opportunities and not necessarily money, the more accolades and accomplishments that you can have.
That's cool. I like that philosophy. So yeah, tell us, like, I know I just mentioned about how you're big on like building a legacy. How are you building a legacy for yourself, and like how can others do that as well for themselves?
Yeah, like I said, it's chasing the right opportunity, but I think a lot of people have this idea or this mindset, right, of trying to get to the top before getting the steps in between, right? So like I myself, I can say that I was guilty of that because a year back I wanted a TED Talk, right? But then looking at all the steps that it takes to get a TED Talk is kind of crazy to think that most of us are just like, well, how can I get one, right? And then I had like a couple of people reach out to me and be like, how did you get one? Because I knew that they wanted one too, right? And just looking at everything that I did, I'm like, dude, you're not even close to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, just things like that. I think it's just, you really, really set yourself up for success and don't try to skip any of those steps that come with it.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I know I can also relate to you where actually one of my old managers made this post on social media where it was like, there's like he said there's 5 different steps that he believes to basically like with your job. So like the first one is like getting a job that like pays the bills. Second one is like you start turning like your passions into money. And I forget what the third and fourth one were. And I know the fifth one was like giving back. And I think I was trying to skip a lot of these steps before. And I was trying to like, oh, let me live like my dream life and like travel, spend all this money, and then I'm like kind of back to square one where it's like, well, now I don't really have anything to show for besides just cool stories to tell, I guess, and fun experiences. So I definitely think that's really important, is like making sure that you follow the steps that you need to, not trying to jump the gun, because then at the end of the day, you're just going to delay the process of actually like getting to where you are.
Yeah, I want to say that it was right when I moved over here, and Reels and Instagram were a big part of it too. TikTok, I could say, was maybe a big part of it, but the thing about TikTok is that I never wanted to go viral or be known for really dumb stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because as a business owner, it's not that you can't go viral, like let's say for pranks or things like that, if that's what you want. But as a business owner, that's not necessarily what's going to bring you high paying clients, right? So I had to really look at it, and I went viral on TikTok. Going viral is not hard by any means. You know what I mean? Most people think that it is difficult, but if you want to go viral, you do viral things. And that's pretty much the the formula, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's really that easy, right? So most people think like, oh, well, Ruben, that's really easy. It's like, well, what's viral things? And it's like, well, dude, you know what I mean? Like if I right now have somebody next to me and I get my phone, right? And then like I literally just like show them and then show my hand and there's like cream on it or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I show them again and then I smack them, that's gonna go viral. Like there's like a
Right.
99% chance that goes viral. So it's not difficult. What is difficult is growing an audience that has anything to do with what you want it to be, right?
Mm.
So when you're like, okay, I'm a business owner, or I'm a painter, or this or that, and you're like, I want it to be only known for that, that's where it gets difficult because you actually have to cultivate an audience that's not just everyone.
Mm.
But again, with TikTok and Instagram, they have given us the platforms where we can actually reach people. And so before that, we really only had Instagram, and a lot of people only had the option of buying fake followers, fake likes, fake views to appear like they were getting them. Now you're able to do it. So the temptation is, I'm going to create and nobody's going to see. So therefore, let me buy fake views and fake likes and fake followers. However, if you do that, it actually ruins your chance of actually going organic in the algorithm because Instagram is like really, really catching that, right? So it's TikTok. So now it becomes a game of, do I do everything real and do I just be patient and hope, you know what I mean, that it happens?
Right.
Or do I go the other route and keep pretending and then it never happens for me? So over the last few months, even though it might not look good, even though it might not feel good, you have to deal with a lot of the pressures of yourself of like, nobody likes my shit, you know what I mean? And just being okay with it.
Yeah.
And growing through that. So like we've literally been doing all organic, all everything. And what's funny is it's actually done less. If I post a picture, I can get like 300 to 400 likes from all the people that I know. I put out a reel, it does like 50 to 100. And the thing is that like we literally just tested this and put out a picture, and all my old followers back put out a reel, no one. And so we can get more into that, why that is, because it's a psychological thing with humans. But even though it doesn't feel good, do that in a real way, which leads to real connections, real people finding you. I did TEDx Socorro, which is a city. The city found me through my Instagram, through my reels, and it was just process after process after process after process that basically led me to where that happened.
Yeah, I've seen you've been really consistent, like crushing the reels. I know I've watched like a ton of them, and I'm always learning from. So keep up the good work on that for sure.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. So like, I guess what's one way that people can distinguish themselves? Like, I know you're all big into like building like this brand for yourself that sets you apart from other companies that maybe do something similar, or maybe even if it is the same thing, but like how can you distinguish your brand from other brands?
I think we really have to look at knowing at least fundamentals of things, right? So a school gets like a really bad rap, especially like in the entrepreneur world, like, hey, don't go to school, blah, 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 right? I didn't go to school for marketing, but I was in a manufacturing business, 14 million a year for about 10 years doing sales and marketing for them, right? Which I started as tech support, then sales and sales manager, and then sales and marketing. If I hadn't worked there though, I would not have the experience that I needed, because they showed me about like SWOT analysis, and they showed me about market positioning and vertical markets, and how you can get like, even though your market is this, there's also like independent little ones that you can go and tackle. So without that information, which I learned because other people in the company had gone to school, I wouldn't have known a lot of these tactics and stuff, right? And so I think you have to have a core fundamental knowledge of what marketing and branding and advertising and sales is in order to like set yourself up for success. And so if you really want to know how to position yourself and be unique, I think you have to look first at what the competition is, and then find where their flaws are at, and then find where your strengths are at. And then the moment that one of those doesn't overlap, you're like, this is the thing right here, and you aggressively attack that.
So you're just kind of finding like a weak point in the marketplace almost.
Correct. And it doesn't always have to be like a direct competitor, right? So for example, we moved to El Paso and we noticed that it's not that there's no marketing companies. However, there are no branding companies. So very easily now we just become the only marketing company that can issue and create and develop a brand for people. And so even though we might be too early on to where people are like, I don't really care about branding, give it a year or two, and when it starts seeping in and people start realizing that it's important, we're the only choice.
It froze for a second. Yeah, that makes sense. So I know you've talked about in other podcasts visualization before and how you've used that. I listened to a couple other podcasts you were on, and I really love visualization because I used it a lot in my swimming. And so I'd love to hear, like, how did you use visualization? How are you currently using it to like tackle your goals and things like that?
God, man, there's so many tools and things that you can use. Like, to be honest, I hadn't used visualization probably the last like month or 2 or 3. The last time I remember using it, which was actually really helpful, just so you can see like the power of it, even though you might forget and move on to different tools and things. But I was, like the HIIT classes are like kickboxing, that they're not really like kickboxing, but they have rounds, and then you go from station to station. And so I got to know the trainers at these that I was going really well, and they put me through hell sometimes. Like, I love them, and at the same time, I'm like, I fucking hate you guys. You know what I mean? But they do the drills where it's like they put out a ladder and then you do in and outs, right? And so he had me do a longer ladder right after doing legs to in and outs. So I kept messing it up because like I was like, and then my legs would give up. And then the moment that I would do it, he's like, okay, now squat down lower and then do them, right? And so I messed up like 2 or 3 times. And then I just I went back to the end and I started jumping, and then I closed my eyes and I was like, all right, we're going to do this. And I was like, and then I imagined it, and I was like, each foot in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And then I imagined myself right at the end. And dude, I kid you not, first try, boom, 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 boom. Next time, boom, 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 boom. And it's just because like I think you have to prepare yourself for what's really going to happen, right? Like you have to actually know that it's going to happen. And I think that there's something to be said about like, we live in the physical world right now, and then you have to create the world that you want to be in. But before you create it, if you don't actually see it, how can you create it?
Right.
So it's like, that's what visualization does. It actually just allows you to get to the place where you want to be at faster, but it can't be there unless you actually make it in some place.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know in swimming, like there's this book I read. It's more like a swimming book, but I think you can use to probably apply like in any area with visualization. But she basically breaks down these steps where it's like first, obviously it's like starts with your breath, like just being like present in the moment and stuff, and then kind of like feeling your body like with your mind, and then like seeing like every single little detail of what you want to do. So like for example with swimming, it'd be like picture like the stands, like the pool, like what lane you're in, the block, like using like all your senses into one. And that can even apply, like I remember I was doing box jumps one time and I just visualized myself. I was like, okay, I got to make this jump. And I just kept visualizing myself doing it. And finally, after seeing myself do it several times, I just went for it. And then I nailed it. So even if it's with little things.
Yeah, I lied. I actually did use it. And so for my TED Talk, and this is a really, really good thing to pick from if you can understand the concept. But basically, whatever you're going to do, before you do it, don't start by actually doing the thing. Start by learning about how you do the thing. So I was going to do my TED Talk, and then I started kind of writing it, and then I was like, dude, I have writer's block. So instead of starting with that, I was able to remember to read a book on public speaking. And so I read a book literally, and this was because I found out 7 days. So I started it on Monday. And so I took all of Monday to read that book. And I think it was like a 6-hour book, but I literally just kept playing it throughout the day. On Tuesday, I started it, where most people would be like, no, you should have started on Monday. But no, I read a whole book on it. Then I did it on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I kept practicing it, right? But the book actually said, go to the place you're going to have your talk and get on stage and visualize it like you were already there, right? And so we did. On Thursday, I went there and I literally looked at the stage and I got up on the stage and I just stood there and I took it in. And so by the time that I did the talk, even though it still felt weird, being in front of people and everything, I knew what I was expecting. Like I already knew. I had been in that moment, I've been thinking about it for like 2 days, exactly what it was going to be.
That's awesome. But was it pretty like how are you feeling right before the TED Talk? Were you pretty anxious and everything, or?
I was, and what sucked is that for not only the TED Talk, but for the one that, because I had another one literally the week after, which was called Latin Talks.
Mm-hmm.
I was last, and so what I've learned is don't ever go last. For a few reasons, people leave, which is one of them, and number two, because you are just waiting the whole time.
Oh yeah, the anticipation's building up.
So at some point you're just like, I just want to fucking go. You know what I mean? Like just, I hope somebody would switch with me, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. What were some like the challenges that you faced, like leading up to the TED Talk and the Latin Talks and stuff like that?
More with like the speech, you mean?
Yeah, like the speech or just like getting to that point.
Gotcha. The realest thing I think is going to be that anybody can relate with, that I didn't want to do it. Like that I was afraid to do it, that the night before I was like, I'm going to forget something or something like that, and the easiest way to overcome that is, I'm going to say something very generic and corny. People are going to be like, but it's confidence. But I don't mean just say like, just telling yourself like, I'm confident, right? Like, I don't think that that's going to do it for you. But the morning before, and it's funny, when I work out or like whenever like I want to get through something, like I just I hit myself, but like I do it where like it's like I'm alive, I'm fucking alive, you know what I mean? But I was doing that like in the shower the morning before, and I was like, dude, muscle memory. Like I've gone through this so many times, I know it. It's just muscle memory, you know what I mean? Like, and I kept telling myself like I could go up there and I could forget every word. And that's fine because it's in here, it's ingrained, you know what I mean? So it's like that's the type of confidence that I think you need to have whenever you don't want to do something. When it's like when people tell you like just show up, it's not really like just show up and bomb it and feel okay about it. It's like just show up because like you should have enough confidence in yourself to know that you've done enough and that you're gonna do it,
Right, especially because like if you're giving a TED Talk on something, most likely you're an expert on it, so it should be already like ingrained in you, like what you have to do, and like you're already living by these things that you're going to be explaining and teaching these people too. So
yeah, but believe it or not, man, like everybody gets imposter syndrome, you know what I mean? Like that's a real
that
thing.
makes sense.
Like the first 2 days of reading the book and writing the thing, well, again, I had 7 days. They gave me 7 days of notice because somebody canceled, and so they're like, can you do it? And I was like,
oh jeez,
yes, absolutely, I can do it. But they gave me 7 days. So, and then they're like, what's the name of your talk? Do you have a talk that you can give? And I was like, I don't. And then I was like, God damn it. So then I had to like look it up, just really like I had to think it, blah, blah, blah. And within 20 minutes, I gave them the name of my talk. And so what I came up with was motivation ends quickly, skills build confidence. Right. And so I started thinking like, man, I should be talking about branding or marketing or something. And again, this goes to the point of like, seek opportunities, don't seek money. Because if I was money, I'd be like, oh, look at my branding talk. I had a TEDx on branding, right? But opportunity would say, what can you actually talk about that that could quote, quote, go viral in the entrepreneur community, and you could actually help some people. And so for me, I was like, okay, now I have a keyword on motivation and I have a keyword on confidence. And those are two very big things that people need. Right. Or at least they think that they need, right? So that's where I had to really move and maneuver. And then I had to think like, do I want to go the easy route and go with branding and marketing, or do I want to do something that I know is going to help people? Right. And so that's where imposter syndrome comes in, because you're like, why am I talking about motivation and confidence and not about marketing and branding? And so it makes you think the whole time, should I be talking on this? How are people going to perceive it? You know what I mean? Like if it does go on TED, then people are going to like, talk bad about you. So I think the biggest thing is just know that we're all human. We all have doubts, and just, if you're going to do something, do it right. So that way you feel good when you're on stage, whatever stage may be, about what you're doing. Yeah,
definitely. I know that's one thing I feel like that's held me back in the past too, is imposter syndrome. I've definitely been guilty of that, because I'm just like, man, like, I don't know, am I qualified like even talk about this, or even like give someone advice about this thing? So yeah, I agree, it's definitely a real thing. But especially if like you have the background of it. You just have to just go for it, even though it's scary. Kind of like what Tim Grover talks about. Obviously, I know you've been in this group as well as me. That's how we connected. He's always big on like, just face your fears, like control them, use them as like power and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's important.
One of the best videos that I've seen, I forgot the guy's name, but he has a really raspy voice. And he was talking about like people, right? And he goes, the thing is that most people think that they should, release the monster, because if not, like the monster within them, because if not, that people will take advantage of them. And he goes, that's not the point. The point is to always be a monster, right? But hold it back. And then people will respect you for that.
That's interesting. Huh. Like, wait, in like what way? Like they respect you for just because like they know you could do so much more almost, or like in what way they respect you?
No, that basically like you could destroy, like basically you're showing restraint, and therefore people respect you. Right. Okay. So it's like I could destroy that person, but I'm not going to, right? Like I know that I could, and everybody knows that I can, but therefore I don't, because I'm a nice person,
Yeah.
So therefore like there's respect in that. But there is no respect in like somebody just took advantage of me and I'm not going to do a damn thing about it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to kind of switch back over a little bit to like your marketing company, branding company. So I want to hear about like your goals and stuff. Like what is your kind of all time, like if your dream goal, I guess, like where you want to take the company?
Yeah, we're aiming right now for 1 million a year in revenue within the next 2 years.
Nice.
As far as like a personal goal that would be related to the company goal, it's to get verified, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's through Instagram. Really, the other ones matter to me, but they don't really matter as much. I believe that for everything that we have done, I want to take the company to be more as a, we work with you type of company, right? Not the other way around.
Right.
And it I've noticed over the last few years that you try to help people who need the help, and they don't accept the help. But the people that do accept the help are the people that you necessarily think wouldn't need the help, which is the corporation, things like that. And the reason that they actually accept the help is because they're smart enough to know that they need the help.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
And so it's a very strange concept, right? Because we want to help as many people as we can, but we can't help anyone until they want to be helped.
Yeah.
And especially with higher concepts, like especially with things like branding, which is it's an intangible thing, right? So you don't know where the ROI is going to be immediately. However, if somebody was like, we could turn you into the next Coke, people understand that right away, what the tangible product is going to be, right? What the end result and the deliverable is going to be. But whenever you say branding and people go, oh, well, I could just hire an ads company. It's like, well, that's why when you turn off the ads, no one buys from you,
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of those gives and takes. So, but yeah, that's the main goal with the company is to get to $1 million in revenue, and then have about, I think we said we could easily have about 25 to 30 people on the team. And I don't.
Where are you at right now with people on the
team?
team?
At 5. We're at 5. Yeah, I had to let go of a few people, not because of monetary issues, but I realized that I was hiring in a way where I was building structure, but I wasn't generating revenue, right? And I wouldn't even say so much as revenue. The way that I think everybody should look at hiring salespeople is in this way. If you were to hire somebody like as an accountant, right? The accountant is going to come in, and you're going to have to take, the money that you have and give it to them, right? And they're going to do a job for you. That's all you get out of it. The salesperson that you hire is going to actually have to get sales, and you get money back. However, that is not the important thing. Okay. The important thing is that without a salesperson, with accountants and like, let's say, technical support people and account representatives and everything, all these people are just taking your money and it dies there. The salesperson is not only bringing you sales, they are actually expanding your company name with every single person that they talk to. So if you get $500 and you put it into ads, right, you can reach people, but it doesn't mean that they're actually going to get touched. It means that they can, skip through it. You get a salesperson, they are going to force a conversation. And so whatever you pay them, if you see it as a marketing cost on top of a salary, it's a really, really good investment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously it's a lot more personal when you have someone right there versus, or like on the phone versus just like some random like pop up on your screen.
Yeah, well, like think about you and like your podcast and your YouTube, right? Like you can put ads towards it again. If somebody's going to just scroll past it, right? You hire someone and you tell them, hey, your only job is to just tell people about my podcast. How much better does it make you feel that when you're sick, when you don't feel like it, when your podcast flops or what, you know what I mean? Like all these things that could like emotionally roller coaster you. How would you feel if, somebody's out there just saying, hey, listen to this podcast. Hey, listen to this podcast. Hey, listen to this podcast. How much better does that make you feel?
Oh yeah, so much better.
So that's where like I had that wrong thinking of building a foundation where me and John, the other guy that I have as a salesperson, we're literally just blasting people and we're like, how much easier would this be if we just hired another person? And if he brings in some money and then we just hire another person, and then all of a sudden everybody's just talking about us and we become like a plague where you just can't get rid of us. You know what I mean? Like literally it's just like, God damn it, the marketing hunters again. And so I think that that's what the best companies do. That's what like really, really good solar companies do. They just they hire a bunch of salespeople and they door knock, and then all of a sudden they're known in the city, right? So we're following that right now.
Okay. Yeah, I can totally relate to that because I did door-to-door sales this past summer, and every single door I knocked on was like, oh, Vivian guy again. And so it's like, yep, you can't get rid of us. We just keep coming back. Like, you come back like twice a year. It's pretty funny. But last thing I want to talk about really quick is I want to hear, well, I already know what the answer to this is, but I want you to share for everyone else, like your mission, like where you basically what you want to do for Latinos, basically.
This one, it took a while to really know where my impact was going to be, right? I grew up without a father, and, he didn't die. He just wasn't a great father. And we've kind of mended everything to where we're good now. But growing up, a pat on the back only does so much, right? Sometimes you need money. Sometimes you need somebody that's like, that person that can like actually help your family out. And so I started thinking like, okay, well, I want to be somebody who can help single mothers. I want somebody who can help out these Latino kids who feel like really life isn't fair because, our parents didn't really have the same opportunities as us, and we have to just eventually grow up and mature and accept that as the reality, and not hate them. And so I was like, do I start a nonprofit? Do I, just rack up enough cash and give it to people? And I think that those are all very good options. Recently, with what I think is a good ability to speak, and I've realized that I have a good ability to relate, especially to a lot of the Latino community as well. We have Canelo, who's a great boxer, and everywhere he goes, he's always like, hitting the USA flag. And so he's doing a lot for the Mexican community. But I think that that's what I want to do in the Mexican community, right? Here in America, we have like Carlos. Oh man, I'm gonna forget his name too. I think it's like Carlos Reyes or something like that. No, that's a realtor. But there's a dude in Mexico, and his name is Carlos. He's like the Mexican Grant Cardone. That's what people call him, right? And so that's not necessarily what I want to go after. I'm not trying to be loud and disruptive. I want to be the Mexican Hispanic businessman that people look up to, and that they know that, even though, Latinos are crossing through every single day, that we are not the gangbangers, that we are not the murderers, the people that are actually making the country worse, that we're actually making it better. So that's really my goal for the Latino community, is to be that shining hope as a business person.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And I can totally see you crushing that too. Like, you already are such a great example, and I think you'd do amazing at that mission.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, so last thing, we're just gonna do like 3 super quick questions asked at the end of every podcast.
Sure.
First one is, what's the best piece of advice that you've gotten that's impacted you the most?
Man, so I'll do this one as fast as you can. Back to the TED Talk. Don't chase motivation, chase skills. And we'll put it in this way: if you have sales, right, and you have to make 10 sales calls a day, and you take 20 minutes of motivation to make 1 sales call because you know that somebody's going to hurt you and say no, and then you're going to feel bad. If you got that same 20 minutes and you took it and you did sales training with someone, imagine compounding that over like 10 years, how much better you would do than if you just felt motivated to do the sales calls.
True. I totally agree with that. That's awesome. And then what is your favorite quote and why?
Conor McGregor, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over.
Oh, that's sick.
I resonate with him. I resonate with Kanye, Muhammad Ali, Alexander the Great. If you're going to do something and you're going to compete, then fucking compete. You know what I mean? Like, if you really have ambition, then chase your ambition. Like, don't just do things so that way people say that you did it.
Definitely. That reminds me kind of like, I can see why that resonates with you, because it's all about like building the legacy.
Yeah, sort of. Like, to me, again, it's like, if I know that I could do better, I just can't say I did. Like, oh my God, yes, I got second place. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, I should have fucking got first place, and that's not acceptable, you know?
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Last thing, what book do you recommend everyone should read?
Oh, God damn you. Okay. Because if I say my book, everyone's gonna be like, oh, okay, your book. You know? But anyway, read my book. Shameless plug. Brand Shark. Second
I'll put in the description.
Yeah. Second book, or primary book. Man, there's so many, right? Like, there's Relentless was a great book to really open up yourself. Like, I don't really say like a lot of motivation books, but that one I think is a self-development book that really opens you up to yourself. You know what I mean? To just being like, man, I am screwed up, so is everybody else, and I'm just gonna accept that, and I'm gonna go full force with it. Yeah, I'm gonna say that, and then pretty much any sales book. It doesn't matter what it is, but any sales book that actually has tangible sales information.
Okay. Yeah, Relentless is one of the ones I recommended too. You guys saw the intro episode, so definitely you guys got to check the book out. I'm not the only one saying that. And check out Ruben's book. It was called The Brand Sharks. Yep. So check him out. I'll link that in the description. And Ruben, thanks again for hopping on, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and anytime.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Take care.